I want to talk about bands that are criminally underrated. Like, I'm not just talking about like obscure local bands that only you and like 5 of your mates know about, but I'm talking about like fairly established bands that just never really sort of like punch through to, you know, a wider audience. You must know the sort of bands I'm talking about, right? So I want to make a little list and we're going to like go through them and maybe talk about what makes these bands so good, and perhaps discuss why exactly they never really sort of like achieved more success than other bands that play similar sort of music.
Before we go any further, I just want to let you know that I'm now offering a 7-day free trial for my online guitar school. Unlock the entire archive of super fun lessons, exercises and content, as well as Discord access and guided weekly mentoring from me. Click the link in the description below to visit Bradley Hall's Guitar School and sign up today for free.
I guess you could call Symphony X a more power metal version of Dream Theater. They're really, really good songwriters as well. They write some really, really catchy stuff. This intro is like one of the most fucking insane intros ever. So, this riff is absolutely bonkers. There's like a video somewhere of like the drummer playing it. I could watch this shit all day. But they write very, very, very catchy choruses. Maybe they're an acquired taste, like if you're not into that sort of like cheesy power metal sound, then maybe you won't dig this band so much, but I don't know, I think they do it with like enough conviction that it's fun. They're good kind of cheesy. And not to mention, Symphony X also have absolutely bonkers guitar solos. One of the things that I like most about Symphony X is how they blend classical motifs into their music. Little Bach pieces and references and stuff like so well. That's actually a great point. Do you think like how bad album covers are has any bearing on how successful a band is? Maybe that's a point that I've never thought of before. Bands that have consistently bad album covers, like Symphony X, do you think they get overlooked? Just because like people see like how bad, I mean, album covers like this, or like like fucking this, and they think, oh, I'm not touching that. It looks like fucking junk, you know? Yeah, because like when you're just sort of like impulse buying records, which actually I used to a lot when I was younger, like back in the days of buying CDs and stuff, I would quite often buy stuff blind and just by how cool I thought the cover looked. Did anyone ever play Tony Hawk's Pro Skater? Fuck, I don't remember which one it is. I think it was Tony Hawk's Underground 2. They had this song, Deadly Sinners, on. This is what first introduced me to them. And like, as soon as I heard this song, I was like, whoa! Like, this is fucking cool. Deadly Sinners, that's it. So they sort of like mix Judas Priest Painkiller, sort of straight up traditional metal, but with a kind of like 2000s metalcore kind of thing. So they had like a screaming guy. But the vocalist had like a really sort of like high-pitched Rob Halford sort of voice. It was like a really, really interesting mix of styles. And like the aesthetic and the lyrics were more sort of like fantasy-based. So it's just like a really weird mismatch of styles that like shouldn't work, but did so well. What a chorus! And what I loved about it, it's just like so fucking goofy and silly, but it's like so fun. They really develop their sound like later on. This song has some like amazing vocal melodies in it. And like, it makes such a difference, in my opinion, when vocalists have the capacity to write decent, like, hooky vocal lines. Without decent vocals, like, this sort of music would be so fucking, like, bog standard and, I guess, like, not that original. Nevermore had a really interesting sound. They have a kind of like, I don't know, almost like a Pantera-y kind of like groove metal sound, so like at their core. But their singing was very sort of like operatic and a bit like sort of like dramatic. And of course, you have Jeff Loomis in this band. Legendary shredder boy, Jeff Loomis. Yeah, I think Nevermore was probably the main reason that I got 7th string. I just wanted to play all those like classic riffs. Their vocals are very strange in Nevermore. And then you have this like crazy melodic chorus that comes out. So cool. That's a little video of Jeff playing that riff.
Right
oh, Jeff Loomis. I don't have a very good ear for like American accents. He sounds Canadian, but he's probably not, is he? No, he's American. Whoops. And it would be a criminal offense to mention Nevermore, but not listen to one of the most legendary sweet picking sections in all of metal. Oh, it's insane. That's one of my favorite guitar sections of all time. The first time I heard that, Oh my god. Guys, you must have this feeling, you know, when you just like listen to a song for the first time and like a certain section comes on and you just like stop everything you're doing and you're just like... So Scar Symmetry are a melodic death metal band from Sweden. And oh my god, this band was like life-changing for me when I first heard them. And it's absolutely bonkers to me that this band isn't bigger because they're absolutely insane. They have one of the best guitarists in the world, Per Nilsson. If you're fucking balls deep in the guitar community, you probably know this guy. He filled in for one of the Meshuggah guys. That's how good he is, right? When Meshuggah asks you to fill in for one of your guitarists, you know you're fucking good, all right? And then it's like, it's like really, really melodic, like poppy vocals. And in the early days, like it was just this one guy doing everything. Like this guy was an insane vocalist. You just never hear choruses like that in metal. It's like so well written. This style was nuts. Usually when bands do sort of like harsh vocals, then clean vocals, it's like, I don't know, really jarring and a bit weird, but like Scar Symmetry do it so well, just because the stuff is so well written. Oh, so melodic. I just can't comprehend how like people can write this sort of music. It's like so big brain. Like it takes a fucking sizable cranium to write music like this. Or it's sort of like part Meshuggah, like part fucking ABBA or something. I don't know. Oh! So Carcass are an English extreme metal band from Liverpool, formed in 1985. The band have gone through several lineup changes, leaving guitarist Bill Steer and bassist vocalist Jeff Walker. That's it, yeah, Jeff Walker, that's the main dude. Carcass started off as a sort of just straight up like grindcore band, like sort of Napalm Death kind of sound, and then sort of like went a bit more like death metal, a bit more like grindy later on. But they always had like a little like melodic edge as well, which sort of set them apart. Yes, I'm pretty sure this was their first album. It was just like fucking straight up grindcore. Then they sort of went into this sort of sound, which sort of like slowed things down on me and went a bit more groovy. It's a really cool direction. Love his vocals as well. Their vocals are so unique. It's kind of like a snarl. It's like... Yeah, Carcass is massively underrated. After that, I believe they had like Heartwork, right? So Heartwork is probably like one of the quintessential like Melodeath albums, like a super influential album. I mean, most of you have probably heard this song before, right? It's like a classic. This is what I mean about underrated though, because look, this was uploaded 10 years ago, and this is considered like a classic metal song, but it still only has 5 million views, and that's not a lot for like a relatively big classic song. I don't really know what happened to them after that. I think they like fell off for a while, right? And then they came back like later. I think the stuff they put out these days is pretty good, right? Oh look, they had a music video from 2 years ago. I haven't heard this. Is this any good? It sounds way different to what I was expecting. So yeah, Carcass, what a fucking sick band. Such an interesting arc as well, from like straight up grindcore band to like Melodeath band and like, you know, some like groove metal stuff in between. Just oh, beautiful. What more is there to say about Carcass? It's weird to me how like they never get mentioned amongst like all the other sort of greats of that genre. They just always get forgotten about. I always forget about them. Like I didn't even like think about Carcass at all. And then like as soon as somebody mentioned it in chat, it's just like, oh, of course, Carcass. There we have it. There is my little list of who I think are some of the most criminally underrated metal bands of all time. How these bands did not get more recognition in their prime is just absolutely mind-boggling, because they've all put out some of the best metal like of all time, hands down, like no question about it. There's so much music that gets put out. I guess it's only logical that like some of the good stuff just like slips through the net unnoticed, which is kind of unfortunate. At least here we are listening to them now with myself and all you fantastic degenerates. Cheers. Don't forget to eat your fucking beans, all right?
Oh no, if you haven't eaten your fucking beans, all right?
All right, mate. Do that. Do that. Do that. Nice one.